What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this video is coming extremely late. I realize this. My brother's graduation was Thursday, and then the whole weekend I had family in town because of his graduation, so I'm busy doing stuff with them. Not had time to watch Bones until today, Saturday. So yeah, that's when this review is coming out, and I'm gonna be honest, going into this, I almost didn't want to watch it. This season has been really bad. If you've watched my other reviews, you know how I feel about this season. It's not been good. It's just felt off. It's felt poor. The characters have been bad. It all just felt so bleh. And on top of that, I mean, my reviews for it, these are the only videos that are consistently getting dislikes, and nobody likes dislikes. It's gonna happen on the internet, but nobody likes to get dislikes. So that means that there are people still out there who enjoy this and watch my reviews and think, you're stupid, click dislike. So I didn't really have a whole lot of motivation going into this. But then I looked on IMDb, see what episode it was, check character stuff, and 8.3. And I watched it with that in mind. And, compared to some of the other ratings this season, they've not been correct. Like some of the one about the fantasy football. Like, a murder over fantasy football, really? And it's one of the higher rated episodes this season. I'm like, this is stupid. You don't know what you're talking about, critics. So I didn't really take this 8.3 to mean, okay, this episode's great. But it was better. There were a lot of stuff about this episode that, it's consistently, since Hodgins changed, it's been getting better, excluding last week with the whole Pitch Perfect thing. That was just stupid, but Hodgins has been getting better. In this one, there's more of him becoming like the old Hodgins again. The stories have been getting pretty better. The cases have been still pretty poor, but this one was interesting. It wasn't the typical Bones formula. It wasn't just, oh, yeah, so here's the killer. We're going to go through all of this and then find out at the end, oh, it's exactly who you thought it was from the very beginning. I will admit, I was sitting there saying halfway through the episode, I'm like, okay, so if it's Walker, that would just be stupid. If it's the girl, that might be interesting. And so whenever they were talking to the girl and they're like, you look the most suspect because she was sleeping with him, I'm like, okay, that could be interesting. And then by the end, they're talking about, oh, it's somebody who has Navy SEAL training and, left-handed. I'm thinking, okay, so it's not anybody else. It has to be Walker. He's the only one that hasn't been suspected yet. And so I'm just like, of course, really, you're gonna go that route. And then all of a sudden, that one guy, I can't remember his name. Crap. But the guy that they were talking to who couldn't have done it because his arm was, like, he couldn't lift his shoulder, so he couldn't have hit the guy with the shovel. He shows up, tries to kill the president, and Walker dives in front of it and takes a bullet and dies. I'm like, wait, what just happened? I thought Walker did it. What just happened? What's going on? It threw me for a loop because I was just like, is there something I'm missing here? Like, they just said it was Walker, and I thought to myself, oh, typical Bones. And then he dives, takes a bullet for the president, and dies. I'm just like, okay, this took a twist. And finding out what actually happened, finding out that, he actually was sort of losing his mind because of a blood clot that happened in his leg, went to his brain, caused him to become paranoid, and then one of the secret agent people, the guy who died, saw that, was going to report him, and he killed him before he could report him. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a much better story than just, oh, somebody was trying to kill the president and so they killed a Secret Service member. That's a much more interesting little twist thrown in, like, oh, you thought it was all about the president, but it wasn't. I like it. It was a good twist. It was genuinely a good twist. It was not just a Bones twist where, Oh, we suspected everybody else except for Walker, so it was Walker. He was trying to kill the president. No, not this time. He was the culprit, but not for the reasons we were thinking. So it's more interesting. It changes things up a little bit. I like that. I'm glad that they didn't go the typical route. They decided to change things up. And on top of that, the characters, not that bad. We have the return of Fisher, um, who I actually forgot about, but whenever I saw him, I'm like, I know that guy. And they started talking about, how Hodgins was saying, I'm in a lot of pain and constantly self-loathing. He's like, yeah, I know that feeling. I'm like, oh yeah, it's the guy who constantly hated himself. Um, it was funny to see him back and find out that he's tutoring the president's daughter, so that's how he ended up getting this job, like helping out the Secret Service. Uh, you have Hodgins, who, like I said, he's been getting better over the past few episodes. Not hating on people, not being a jerk to everyone. He has been Hodgins recently. In this episode, I love what happened. At first, at the time, I thought, why did they do that? Like, do you want to just throw in some tension? Like, oh no, Hodgins might die whenever he fell down the little, like, dumbwaiter shaft. And then at the end of the episode, he's talking to Angela and says, if it were the old me, I wouldn't have been able to hold on like I did. But because I'm in this wheelchair and I've been building my upper body strength, I was able to hold on. I'm like, see, that's great. That is great to see him think like that. To not be all, oh, I'm in this chair, poor pitiful me. He's actually thinking, this is a blessing in disguise. I would have died there. I would have done that because this still would have happened, but if I were not in this chair, I would have died. So I love the fact that they turned that around too. And then on top of that, you've got, Bones is sick in this episode, and it's just her trying to work through her illness. And that's all it was. There wasn't some stupid, like, argument between her and Booth. There wasn't some stupid plot line going on there where it's like a huge big deal. It was like she was sick. Angela sent this doctor to come help, kind of doctor to come help her. It made her feel better. She decided, okay, we're going to go out there. And that's all it was. At the end of the episode, we see Booth taking care of her again. I'm just like, that's fine. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be an argument. There was the one episode where they were talking about the Tooth Fairy. I'm just like, this is stupid. Why are we arguing about this? Why is this even a thing? You don't always have to have some sort of argument going on in this episode, and they didn't. So they did some stuff right. Was it a perfect episode? Not by any means. I would still say there's some issues. There was the one kid who was shooting all the leaves on the tree. That was pretty cool, but he plays such a small part. There was just like, why was he even there? I get you want to cover all the bases, but the thing is, if you watch a show like Elementary, one of my favorite things about it is that they follow clues until it reaches a dead end, and then they follow another clue. That reaches a dead end, they follow another clue. So they're always following clues. This one just felt like, oh, this is one of Booth's hunches. And then they see a guy that could possibly be the killer. And he turns out to just be another guy. Like, it didn't lead anywhere, and it wasn't even based off a clue. So it just didn't feel necessary in the episode. Some of it is still very cheesy. Like I said, Hodgins nearly falling to his death, it ended up working out towards something, but at the same time, the way it happened, it was like he was just talking about how that thing was super strong, it wasn't going to break, and then it does. It just feels like, oh, throw in some tension. It felt kind of out of nowhere. And then, of course, just generally the case itself could have been a lot more interesting. I like how they took it. I like the twist that was thrown in, but it really could have been something like a new like sniper in there. Like if the kid had turned out to be the sniper, that would have been crazy. It would have been really interesting. And in the end, we get an interesting twist, but not as epic as it could have been. And at this moment in time, they need something like that. We've got a couple of unfinished stories from halfway through the season. Aubrey's dad, we've got the serial killer from that one episode. They're still unfinished, so they're still a story they can tell there, but we need something really interesting. Like right now, we're 11 seasons in, and the cases have not been that great. So you really want to start putting in some good cases. This one, you've got the Secret Service involved. There's so much you can do there, and they didn't really take full advantage of it. They did well, but they could have done a lot better. So I guess that's my biggest complaint. Even though I should just be happy that it's getting better, I still think they could do a lot more. They could make it a lot more epic. And honestly, Bones is not the only show that's sinful of that. Like there have been other shows that could have had a really epic finale for something, and ultimately it wasn't. So the fact that one of their episodes wasn't as epic as it could have been, maybe not a huge complaint, but at the same time, I want to see the show start to do things that are really getting me interested, because right now my interest is kind of lost, like I said. So, yeah. It kind of sounds weird for me to say, oh yeah, it was good, but it could have been better. But honestly, that this show needs to get better. It needs to get back to what it used to be, because that's the show that caught my attention. Now my attention is lost. I want to go watch other shows. Unfortunately, this is the only show that's on right now. So, anyway, those are my thoughts on this episode. Let me know what you thought of it down below. What did you think of the twist at the end? What did you think of, the case itself? And what do you want to see them do in the next few episodes? I think there's 5 left in this season. Yeah. Okay, so leave a like and subscribe for future Bones episodes, and I will see you with the next review. Peace out.